Hi there. I wanted to offer a little snippet of exercises that is really good for postpartum and especially for anyone that's had a C-section. I've been inspired to put this few things on video for my really good friend Stacy, who's about 3 months out of having a little one, and then one of my favorite clients, Sarah, who is, I think she's only maybe like 8 to 12 weeks, but she had a C-section. So I want to offer some things. Please note that you should not even do any of this if you're under like 6 weeks from having a baby. So the only thing that you'll need is a rolled up bath towel in threes, rolled up in a roll, and a hand towel. And I want us to start lying down. By the way, these exercises are also really good if you have any like low back pain as well. And just bringing the arms down by the side, we're gonna do some pelvic clocks. So letting your pelvis relax at first. And you can imagine that your pelvis is a clock, right? And 12 o'clock is up here towards your belly button, 6 o'clock is towards the pubic bone. So at first we're gonna tilt the pelvis towards 12 o'clock. Another way to say that is to tuck the tailbone or go into a posterior pelvic tilt, like you're tilting your pelvis towards you. And then we'll go towards 6 o'clock. Or another way to say that would be into an anterior pelvic tilt. So just kind of going back and forth. And as you continue to move to 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, try to make this subtle, right? So I'm focusing on, instead of using my back muscles around my low back, to more think about using my feet. So when I tilt my pelvis towards me to 12 o'clock, I'm kind of using my butt and hamstrings. And then when I tilt away to 6 o'clock, I'm kind of pulling with my feet as well. So back and forth. And we do that to really decipher what is neutral. So go ahead and let the pelvis stay at rest. And then we're gonna do something called knee folds. And this seems arbitrary, but it's not. This is all about pelvic stability, keeping the pelvis still or quiet when we move the legs in the socket. Take your hands and put them on your belly. And you're gonna bring your thumbs to the lowest rib and your pinky fingers right onto the hip bones. So I'll turn to the side and show you. Thumb, ribs, pinky fingers, hip bone. And then the rest of your fingers can just stay onto the belly flesh. So you're gonna do your best to draw the navel in just a little bit towards the spine, and that does not push the low back to the mat, so make note of that. And very slowly, we're gonna start to fold the right knee in towards the chest. I'm just letting my shin be heavy, and then slowly place it down. And then very slowly, the left knee folds into the chest. These are also called pistons in the Pilates world, and lower down. And as I do this, I'm not gonna rush it. I'm feeling for my pinky fingers to stay stable, the pelvis stable, not flaring my ribs out, and really feeling the fingertips that's on the belly flesh to just kind of do its best to draw in. So you can do about 10 of those right and left. Just inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And then I like to bring the right knee in tabletop. I'm gonna flex that right foot, and I'm gonna feel first squeezing my right sit bone towards my tailbone. That's another way to say engage your hamstring connection. So I'm taking my fingertips now of my right hand and literally feeling the end of my sit bone, and I'm gonna squeeze, and I should feel those muscles actually turn on into my fingertips. So do that with me, and just feel that posterior booty turn on. And then you're gonna take one hand on top of the other. We're gonna bring the hands pretty close to the hip crease. I just call this back traction. And I want you to turn on that hamstring. So squeeze the right sit bone towards tailbone. Press thighs into the hands and hands into the thighs. So it's an isometric contraction of your core. What's happening here is the transverse abdominis, the deepest core muscle, is actually engaging. Try to help that corset muscle pull in. So I'm drawing my navel to the spine. Avoid pushing the low back to the mat. Instead, feel for grounding the sacrum, that's the back of your pelvis bone, to the mat. And then gently release. That might feel really hard, especially if you're fresh out of having a little one, just after 6 weeks. And then I'm gonna bring the left knee over the hip, flex the foot. I'm gonna feel with my left fingertips right on my sit bones. I'm gonna squeeze sit bone towards tailbone. Feel those muscles turn on, which I do. One hand on top of the other, pretty close to the hip crease, and then I'm gonna press. Hands into the thighs, thighs into the hands. Keep squeezing the sit bones, which is hard. I have to really focus on that. And then I feel my abdominals kick in. Do your best to pull the navel towards the spine and corset your inner abs in. Holding for 3. Relax the jaw and neck. 2, and release. So you can do that maybe 3 times each side. If it feels good, do it. All right, then roll to the side towards me. Come sitting up. And we're gonna move on to all 4s. And anytime we bear weight on the hands, you probably know, but we wanna spread the hands really wide, middle finger straight ahead. Notice how my shoulders are over my wrists and my hips are over my knees. Tuck the toes, please. Find a straight spine, almost like you're doing plank on all 4s. And here I'm just pushing the mat away. Look at the creases of your elbows, make sure they're facing one another rather than hyper-rotating forward. Draw the shoulder blades down. And at first, just let your belly go soft, like you can see me doing here. And then, think about pulling the belly in, but notice I'm not moving my spine into extension or flexion. I'm staying neutral. So belly relaxes down, pushing the mat away, arms are strong, and then belly pulls in. And release, and in, and release. Do that a few more times. And notice if you're like having that bad tendency to like feel your back muscles sort of round or contract. Pull in. You could do this in front of a mirror too, and release. A couple more times. I had a teacher once that would say, let the kittens, like you have kittens in your belly, let the kittens relax and then pull the kittens in. And then we'll do just a little bit of cat-cow, but it will be controlled. So I'm gonna use my butt muscles, right where my sit bones meet my hamstrings, to start to curl the tailbone under. And you can see how small I'm making that. So it's almost like 1, 2, 3, and then unwind 1, 2, 3. So what's happening here is I'm moving the pelvis into a posterior tilt, right? So another way to say that is to pull your pelvic clock towards 12 o'clock, which would be pubic bone towards belly button. So I'm just kind of going into a very small lumbar curve and release. Find neutral again, push your mat away, tuck the toes, and we're gonna lift the knees 2 inches off the mat. Lengthen the collarbones forward, pull the kittens in. Holding for 3, 2, and rest. Set the knees down. We'll come back to some more work on all 4s. I'm actually gonna have you guys grab your rolled up towel now. I'm putting that towel in between my inner thighs. I'm bringing my toes to the top of my mat and scooting my booty back further than you think. We're gonna bring the arms out. We're gonna squeeze the towel and slowly start to curl back for 10 counts. 10, this is called the 10 count roll down. 9, 8, you want your feet flat on the floor, so I'm gonna bring my feet in just a little bit. And it might feel pretty hard, and that's okay, and your head rests. And then the head lifts. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm gonna ask that you grab behind your hamstrings and kind of slowly help yourself come all the way up to seated. This is hard. If this feels like it's straining your back or your belly, or if you have a big rectus diastasis, that's a separation of the core muscles, you would know if you had that. Hopefully your doctor would know. You want to maybe just skip this exercise. Squeezing the towel, curling back 10. I'm feeling my glutes, by the way. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you could go up and down a few times. Now I want us to do a bridge pose. So set up the feet hip bone width. Notice how my knees and my ankles are stacked. I'm actually going to kind of move my shoulder blades under just a little bit. Do not overdo that motion. Bend the elbows, triceps are down, elbows are in, fingertips to the ceiling. We're going to curl the tailbone right into the towel and lift up into bridge. Now those of you that do a lot of yoga, it's tempting to want to make this a big lift of the heart and extend the back, kind of like wheel pose. We are not going to do this. Think about creating a straight line from shoulders, hips, knees. So I'm pushing into my elbows for help, and I'm tucking my tailbone towards the towel so much that the hip joint opens. And I'm feeling that part of the booty that we've been talking about in this video, right where your hamstrings meet your butt. Only look up to the ceiling for this pose. I'm drawing my knees forward energetically. That means my feet kind of come towards me. Chin off of chest. You could hold this for 3 to 5 to 10 breaths. When you come down, lower down 1 vertebra at a time. Set the towel aside. And then one of my favorites that I've been teaching a lot in postnatal is bringing the knees in tabletop, knees right over hips, arms up to the ceiling, make a fist. Okay, so practice this with me. Let your low back kind of arch. You can see I'm exaggerating that to make a point. Instead of pressing the back to the mat, which is not great, press your pelvis, the back of your pelvis to the mat. That's going to engage your core a lot better. For this one, the right leg lowers towards the ground. Notice I'm not touching my heel, and my left arm goes out 45. So it's opposite arm, opposite leg. Exhale to come up. Pressing top rim of the sacrum down, pulling belly in, right arm back, left heel towards the ground. You don't have to make this a big motion to feel it. Exhale to come up. And opposite arm, opposite leg. So that's kind of like full Monty of that exercise. You could, if that's too much for the brain, bring the hands back down onto the belly, thumbs to ribs, pinky fingers to hip, and as you lower and alternate right and left slowly, all those cues that we did when we were doing knee folds of keeping that same distance, almost like an energetic connection between hips, hip bones, ASIS, those bones are called, and the lowest ribs. And you want to feel the fingertips pulled down. It's pretty challenging. It's a great way to knit the abs back together. You can also do this. Practice the arms first and then add the legs. And then roll to the side and come sitting up. We're going back onto all fours. We'll work on spinal balance now. Most of you know this. This is not rocket science. I'm going to extend my right leg out. And I have a pretty sway back posture myself from doing a lot of yoga. And if you're a mom, you probably have it too. So I have to really kind of lengthen the spine. So I'm kind of pulling my pubic bone towards the belly. Just holding this is great. My right toes are facing down. For a little bit more, you can extend the left arm out. Both hands down. One variation I really like is just to touch the toe to the mat and slowly lift it up without moving my pelvis or my rib cage. Then you could do the same on the left side, left leg out. Just practice spinal balance, pull the kittens in, maybe extend the right arm out, take a few breaths, or both hands down, slowly lower the left toe and lift. I would do like maybe 5 to 10 of those. You can do that in a mirror so that you can check your alignment. I will keep adding some more exercises. This was just kind of a first initial video.